to Scott Fox After 9. Today's episode brought to you by Reactant and anything else that gets rid of my allergies today. Anna, how you doing?
I'm in the same boat, man.
Holy cow. This escalated quickly. We're actually dealing with a number of issues here at the podcast studio today, friends. And I'll tell you what we're dealing with. Number one, it's allergy season. And I don't know why, but there seems to be a hell of a lot of pollen in the air. Plus, a local farmer. And I don't know if there's any farms around here, but there's got to be, Anna. One of them just got a fresh shipment of manure. And it smells terrible in here.
It smells like shit.
Yeah, it really does.
I'm sorry.
And it's funny because we've got our office manager, great little Sandra, running around here taking care of things and making sure that it works great. Sandra has opted to spray potpourri. I don't know that was the best idea because now it just smells like flowery cow poo.
Yeah, the two are fighting each other for best smell.
How are you? We just wrapped up our radio show, and now we're here in the After 9 podcast studio. Are you good?
I'm good. You know what? I always have fun with you on the show, but today was extra fun. We had so many people text us about some of the different topics, and it was just, I love people's perspectives. It's great.
Well, you know, it's funny because we try and put out a good conversation every day. We want to put it out there so that even if you're not actually talking to us or texting in and participating, you can at least listen to it. And today an interesting topic came up. Anna, right now, we're talking about silent dating. Here's the story. A buddy of mine, he's a cop. He recently got divorced. He was re-released into the wild. And he's been flirting around with a couple of different things. He called up an ex, and I told him, don't do that.
Oh, you're a good friend. That's smart.
That's not good advice, right? Don't go back to the ex.
Do not go back to the ex. They're an ex for a reason. Keep them there.
Now, do you believe in that for yourself included?
Oh, absolutely.
I've
never
encourage
gone back.
Any of your old boyfriends to call you up?
Do not call me.
Okay, great.
Please do not.
So he tried Tinder. Actually, he tried all of them. He was on Match for a while, and he said, Match is good. I seem to meet a lot of mature women on there. He never got a single date.
Oh, bless his heart.
He's a good-looking guy. He's got a good job. I would have thought this was easy for him, but even he's not having much luck. Until yesterday. He started exchanging messages with a woman, which is encouraging for him. He messaged me, and he said, okay, so I got this girl who wants to go on a date. She's like an 8 out of 10. That was my first question. What does she look like?
Yeah, naturally. My friends would have asked the exact same thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
so I'm not being that shallow.
No. It matters. Sorry.
First question. Can we go on a silent date? He asked her out, and her response was, can we make it a silent date? And I didn't know what a silent date was. He had to ask for clarification as well. It turns out this is what a silent date is. It's for people who are shy, have anxiety, not necessarily the best conversationalists in a setting where they're not comfortable. So you go on a silent date. You say, we're going to meet at Moxie's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. So you go to Moxie, 7 o'clock. Hi, how are you? I'm such and such, and I'm such and such. You sit down, you place your order, and then the whole date is texting. It's texting, it's swapping memes, forwarding articles. That's how they have their conversation on the date.
Terrible time.
Really?
Terrible time. I feel for the server going over and watching this happen. If I had received a message from somebody saying, let's do this silent text, I would have screenshotted it, sent it to all my friends and been like, can you believe this person? Legitimately, because that's just outrageous to me.
Anna, I don't have a problem making conversation personally, but I do understand some people, they get a little awkward on a date. Sometimes they say nervous things that they don't mean to say, and then boom, the whole thing is ruined.
And I've been there before where I've had to carry the conversation, and I get shy too, to be honest with you. And
you're a TV broadcaster.
Still, if I get shy. I mean, it's not easy to put yourself out there. You don't know what the night is going to entail, how things are going to go. But I'd rather have a conversation. Like I'd rather somebody call me on the phone and talk to me rather than just text. And if we're going to go out and text over a meal, I might as well just stay home. Like, why am I going to put in the effort? That's, to me, like, I just cannot get on board with this. I'm sorry.
Is it just too much effort to text?
It's so much effort to text. Oh my gosh.
You have no problem texting your friends all day, every day.
I know, but I love them. I don't know this person. And like, do they deserve my time? Getting to know someone at first, if you match on one of those things, you are texting back and forth. The whole point of going out to meet someone is to meet them in person, get a feel for who they are, their personality, and if they can carry a conversation. Things go well, I bring them home. home? Is he going to text my dad? Like, how's that going to work?
Hello, sir. Could I have your number?
Right? No, that would be my dad.
Okay, but this just needs to be a first date icebreaker kind of thing.
No, it's not a first date icebreaker. It's gonna start. You're going to allow that to happen, and then your relationship texting in that form is going to be okay in their eyes. And I disagree.
I told him to do the date. Was that bad advice?
Scott.
She wanted to do it. I thought it was good advice to tell him to go. He doesn't have any other options.
Well, that's why you said it. You felt bad because the poor guy isn't getting any dates. How about if he were getting dates? What would you have said?
I think the silent date is neat. I think I'd kind of like to try it. No, I'm in a happy relationship, so I personally am not going to try it.
But that's why you're saying it, because you're in a happy relationship. It is tough out here in the wild. It is tough, honestly.
So if he goes on this date and it's terrible, I will admit to you it was a bad idea, Anna, that I told him to go on this date.
Yeah.
However, if it goes well,
it's a story to tell as the best man.
Nah,
right?
I don't want to be a best man. Maybe I'll just put this out there now. If you're one of my good friends, I don't want to be in your wedding party. If you want me to give a speech and tell some jokes and get everybody laughing, I can do that. I just don't want to be your best man.
That is more work.
To do a speech?
Yes.
Oh, and I just wing most of them anyway. I smoke a doob. I'll down like 5 rum and cokes and go up on stage, and it'll be the best thing ever.
Oh my gosh. Okay, if I ever get married, you have to do that. That is your job. I'm going to ask you to please be the MC then, since you don't mind.
I am so into being the MC. In fact, my last friend who got married, beautiful wedding. It was great. And he had a bunch of guys that he wanted to put in the wedding party, and I was totally good with it. And so just as he wanted me to know that I was included. So he's like, hey, would you like to be the MC?
Yeah.
And I thought, thank you. I feel like I should give you a gift because I don't want to be in your wedding party anyway. Don't feel bad about excluding me because it's a heck of a lot of work, too much of a commitment, and way too expensive.
I know, but I'd rather be in the wedding than have to be the MC, although I end up doing speeches anyways. So, yeah.
You should let me write your next bridesmaid speech.
Ooh.
I love speech writing.
And
love
then,
it.
you know what? I'll text it out. Text to speech, and then we can play it that way.
Sure. Just put it up on the screen and let it roll like the credits in a movie.
Gosh, that's where it's at. That's the future of dating.
I'll let you know how this date goes because I did tell him to do it. He said he was going to. They're just going to try and work out the details. And if this is love at first text, I expect an apology from you.
Well, it's because she's an 8 out of 10. Had she been a 4, he wouldn't be going.
Sorry. I think at this point he's going anyway.
Okay.
He just wants a warm body.
Oh, there you go. Warm phone, more like it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we're going to get to in this episode. It's not going to be a particularly long episode today, but there's a few things going on that I feel like deserve a little bit of conversation and a little bit of context, particularly things in the news. Not all politics, though. First off, breaking this morning. Remember all that money that we gave Honda to build an EV battery plant here in Ontario? Yeah, they're shelving plans for that. Federal government gave them $2.5 billion. The provincial government, $2.5 billion. Now they say, too much uncertainty in the EV industry. We're going to put it on pause for 2 years. Do we get our money back then?
Legit, that was my question.
That's what I'm wondering. Let me go back exactly 1 year, if I could, Anna. It is May 2025. Let's go back to June 2024 and hear from the Prime Minister about this battery plant.
The Conservative Party of Canada has said very clearly it would not have made this choice of investing in EVs, investing in workers. But the reality is, as a great Canadian once said, you need to go where the puck is going. The global economy is going towards net zero. Manufacturing is going towards electric vehicles. And with great partnership from the Government of Ontario, Canada has positioned itself to be a leader in the EV industry, and we will continue to be, because those are where the jobs are going to be, not just a couple of years from now, but a decade from now, a generation from now, and over the coming decades.
Talk about a speech that didn't age well.
No, I appreciate the optimism, but that did not go according to plan, and I want my money back.
Anna, this was a year ago. Let me play just a couple seconds of this again.
The Conservative Party of Canada has said very clearly it would not have made this choice of investing in EVs, investing in workers. But the reality is, as a great Canadian once said, you need to go where the puck is going.
Is the puck still going that way, Anna?
No.
Because it feels like that's not where the puck is going anymore.
Gretzky's like, don't bring me in that.
By the way,
Yeah.
speaking of Ottawa, today is swearing-in day for the new federal cabinet. I wondered, how much do these people get paid? Because I heard that they got a pay increase on April 1st. They voted to give themselves a pay increase.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst part about it. They voted for it. Oh.
So I know that there's been a lot of speculation over the last 24 hours or so. Will Chrystia Freeland be in the cabinet? Won't she be in the cabinet? Who cares if she's in the cabinet? It's not going to go very well. We all know that. We saw it for 10 years. If she's in the cabinet, we know what's going to happen. But she will be taking a big pay cut if she's not in cabinet, Anna. Here's how much our government makes. Backbench MP. This is the vast majority of them that don't have a cabinet position.
Okay.
$209,800 a year is their salary now.
It's
Just a regular run-of-the-mill backbench MP that only spends a couple of weeks a year in Ottawa is going to get $209,800. But that's not all, Anna. They also get a $150,000 a year expense account.
Expense account. Wow.
So in total, that's about $360K.
It makes me sick. I'm not going to lie.
We know that Prime Minister Carney, who is also getting a raise, his new salary is $419,600. The Prime Minister is now getting $419K a year, plus expenses. The cabinet ministers, they make $309,700 a year. They can't relate to regular people. The average Canadian salary, by the way, is $67,000 a year. 67. These cabinet ministers are making 309.
67, but you get taxed on that. That's not even what you're bringing home. People can't afford their groceries, and these guys get $150,000 for expenses. Like, I can't. What are they even doing?
Right. These are the people that are trying to determine how the lower and middle class should live. Living off of a salary of $309,700 plus $150,000 in expenses. Now, one of the things they're going to try and do is argue that Prime Minister Carney is being responsible with his cabinet. It's going to be smaller than Trudeau's. Maybe that's true.
Well, that's what I heard. Is it?
He's only going to have 30 cabinet ministers, but he's adding in 10 more of these junior ministers to bring it up to 40. Do you know how much they get paid? Not quite as much as a cabinet minister, but they still make $284,500 a year, plus expenses.
Honestly, that sends me into a rage. It really does, because people are struggling. We're
Yes.
struggling. Gas, like everything, every little small thing, everything adds up, and they're just laughing over there.
Doesn't it
Truly,
seem like they are?
To me, that's what it is the fact that they're okay with even the travel expense. I would hope to maybe one day make $150,000, but these guys are using it for travel or whatever things they're going to use, but they won't actually claim.
Right. They're making a lot of money there in Ottawa. And can I just put out a regular common sense solution here?
Please.
That might humble these people just a little bit and stop them from playing political games. As you know, nothing got done in the fall 2024 session because of a filibuster. Then Parliament got prorogued. If Parliament is prorogued, why are we paying these people $380,000 a year? Why wouldn't they, if their workplace is shut down, like many auto assembly plants are right now, like many factories are right now because of tariffs? How about if the House of Commons gets shut down? They got to go on EI.
Oh, that would be lovely.
You watch how quickly they reconvene the House if they have to go on EI, if they have to go and fill out their biweekly reports about what jobs they've applied for.
Right? Oh my gosh, they would not be a fan, let me tell you.
It's a common sense thing. I don't know why we wouldn't do it, except the people who could make that decision are the ones who would lose, and they're not going to do that because they're selfish.
And they increase their raise. So,
okay, there's 3 things I want to get to in this episode. I want to talk about the Diddy trial, which officially got underway yesterday. I want to talk about the Hockey Canada trial, the 5 players who were accused of a gang sexual assault, I believe, on that girl, EM, and a few other things too. But before that, one more lube up here. One more get you fired up before we get into the content.
Because I'm not fired up enough.
Yesterday, over in the UK has a very left-leaning government, very progressive is the word that most people would use to describe it. Keir Starmer is their prime minister. Now, England has been doing a lot of things very similar to Canada because you get a left prime minister in the UK. We've had a left prime minister in Canada. They do a lot of the same things. immigration has been a big problem for Canada and also in the United Kingdom. And it seems like the UK was going to keep leaning into this. These people like open borders. That's just one of the things that they think is practical, and it's a way to grow the economy. They believe in mass immigration. They did until yesterday. This speech is being analyzed greatly already from British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Here's him speaking yesterday.
These rules become even more important. Without them, we risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together. So when you have an immigration system that seems almost designed to permit abuse, that encourages some businesses to bring in lower paid workers rather than invest in our young people, or simply one that is sold by politicians to the British people on an entirely false premise, then you're not championing growth, you're not championing justice, or however else people defend the status quo. You're actually contributing to the forces that are slowly pulling our country apart. So yes, I believe in this. I believe we need to reduce immigration significantly.
Well, isn't that a change of tone from the British Prime Minister? He also went on to say immigrants to the UK should be required to speak English.
Wow.
Right. Now, if it had
Whoa.
been, just think of this, Anna. Think of this for just a second, because we've been brainwashed for the last number of years about how great immigration is, how good it'll be. There's a lot of gaslighting going on. You heard it just a minute ago when I played Trudeau talking about how much we needed battery plants. And now a year later, we know where that went. When he says things like immigrants should learn how to speak English, when he says immigration is too high, when he says our nation is becoming a nation or an island of strangers. Okay, that's coming from a left-leaning prime minister. What if Pierre Poilievre had won the election? If Pierre Poilievre stood up today in front of Rideau Hall and said, people coming to Canada need to speak English, and we're going to cut the number of immigrants, and you must fall into our society. The exact same people who are cheering on Starmer here on the left would have lost their absolute minds.
Yeah.
And it called him a racist and every other thing.
Definitely. I could see that for sure happening. And you know what? This is a tough subject for me because I'm an immigrant. We moved here to Canada. My parents, to be honest, the English isn't the best, but they've learned. However, for us to come back in the 80s, it wasn't a simple act. We had to apply. There was lots of steps. It wasn't just like open borders. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of respect. Plus, there was room for us as well. There were jobs. Right now, people are hurting. You can't find jobs. So like, I understand where they want to discourage some of the immigration as well. And those who are here, who are working, they're getting paid very little and it's hard work and they're sending that money back. So it's not a win-win for anybody, to be honest with you.
Anna, the jobs thing in particular worries me. I'll give you an example. My youngest, my girlfriend's son, he is 16 years old. He has finished school for the summer. He goes to not a public school. He is finished in 2 weeks and he's looking for a summer job. Now, when I grew up and when my kids grew up, not even that long ago, summer job was a rite of passage. And even if you couldn't get that dream job working at a golf course or at your parents' office or whatever, there was always jobs at McDonald's, Tim Hortons, KFC. You could always get grocery store jobs, ones like that. Anna, him, and none of his friends can even get a call back. They can't even get an interview because there's no jobs out there for young people.
It's true. My nephew's in the exact same boat, and we often talk about it. Like, how's the job front going? He even went through the job banks, and he couldn't find anything. Isn't that wild?
It is wild. There's no jobs.
No work.
Is it, okay, so I'm trying to figure out, is it that immigrants took all the jobs? Or is it the companies aren't hiring as many anymore because they're cutting costs? Or is it that seniors, also feeling the cost of living pinch, went back into the workforce and now we've got a whole bunch of 70-year-olds doing the job that traditionally 16 to 20-year-olds did?
And that's it. And, you know, for an employer, they might seem more reliable because they know that they need that income, so they'll show up for their shift and not call in sick. So there you have it.
Okay, one more possibility.
Okay.
And I don't know if this plays a role at all. But there is a bit of a problem with today's young people. I'm going to play here for you a TikTok that is going viral. It is from a teacher who is leaving the profession. The reason she's leaving, well, let's let her explain. Listen to this.
For not very long, but I guess the last few weeks, I have been recording some rants during my planning period. I'm in a classroom right now. Go Bulldogs. And this will not be my classroom after Friday. I am actually leaving the profession. I am quitting. Well, actually, I did quit, but Friday is my last day. I think we have a month left of school after that, and I will not be the teacher in this classroom. Point is, I thought I hated technology because kids were iPad kids growing up, and they just have too much access to games and entertainment, and they don't want to use technology for education. They want to use it for entertainment. And to a degree, that is true. But what I am learning is more than that, and that technology is directly contributing to the literacy decrease we are seeing in this country right now. A lot of these kids don't know how to read because they have had things read to them, or they can click a button and have something read out loud to them in seconds. Their attention spans are waning because everything is high stimulation. They can just scroll, watch less than a minute. They can't sit still for very long. Something I've realized is, on a day, I know when I was their age, I thought movie days were a treat. I loved movie days. It was a way to relax, kind of take a break. And for them, what they mean when they say they want a movie is they want a movie on in the background for the noise while they scroll on their phones, put their headphones in and look at TikTok and maybe talk to their friends and not pay attention to anything. Whenever I do have a movie day, I can count on one hand the amount of students in all 3 classes that I teach throughout the day who maybe actually pay attention to the movie. It's frustrating and it's disheartening because if I ask a child to handwrite something, even just a paragraph, 5 sentences, basic paragraph, they roll their eyes, they throw tantrums. I'm talking about high schoolers. I teach 10th grade now. They get really, really unruly. And because I'm young too, they want to argue with me about it. And they want to say, why can't we just type it? Why can't we just type it? Well, it's because you'll go on another website or you'll copy it or use AI. You'll use ChatGPT. And I understand that our world is going in a direction where AI is going to be more prevalent, even in the workforce someday. That still doesn't take away that these are basic skills you need to survive.
I'm going to leave it there. Is there anything to that in that maybe the reason kids can't find a job is because employers don't want kids anymore because of all of those reasons?
Oh, I could say, because even my nephew, he'll be sitting with me, but he'll have the phone. He's constantly just scrolling. And then I'm like, hey, man, I'm over here. Connect. Let's connect. Look in my eyes. It's hard.
I don't know where we go from here, Anna. It does seem like we're at a bit of a crossroads. I personally don't have a problem with AI because now I understand AI a little bit better. In fact, I don't discourage my youngest there from using AI when he has to turn in a paper. What I do discourage him from doing is letting AI write the paper.
Of course.
AI is as good as the instructions you give it, everybody. If you've got somebody at home who needs to write an essay on the Rebellion of 1837, well, if they just tell ChatGPT to write an essay about the Rebellion of 1837, you're going to get a very generic AI written paper. But if you give it parameters and you tell it to research specific things and comment on that, and then you go back and make adjustments to what it spits out and say, no, I want to say it like this. And it really is just doing the hard work, but you control the content of it. I don't have a problem with that because that's kind of the way the world's going. Like Trudeau said a few minutes ago, follow where the puck is going, right? But I also agree with the teacher that you got to have those basics. You've got to have literacy should be job one. And if we've got kids in high school that are illiterate by definition, that's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem. They also don't know how to communicate person to person as well because they're so focused on their phone and texting, and sending messages back and forth. I practice with my nephew. I'm like, okay, hey, how's it going? Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Just to get them used to that verbal conversation. You can't fall just back on AI. Oh.
I don't know where we're going from here, but
not good.
It
It's not
doesn't
good.
seem good. Okay, Anna, let's move on to a couple other things here. The defense lawyer for one of the 5 hockey players on trial for sexual assault suggested the complainant led his client to the bathroom to have sex and actively participated in the encounter. This is the lawyer for Alex Formanton, Daniel Brown. He suggested to the complainant, EM, that she pulled Formanton into the bathroom when he said he did not want to have sex in front of the other players. Formanton and his former World Junior Hockey teammates Mike McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, and Callum Foote have pled not guilty to the 2018 encounter at the Delta Hotel in London, Ontario. McLeod has also pled not guilty to an additional charge of being a party to an offense of sexual assault. In other words, now it's starting to lay out a little differently here, Anna. This is slightly different than we heard and talked about last week.
Yeah.
We talked about whether or not she could give consent. She said she was having an out-of-body experience and she just was basically powerless. And while I've never experienced that myself, I can certainly appreciate how that would happen under the circumstances. But what we're talking about here is, A, was she sober? Because she argues she was not, when I have heard some evidence anecdotally through the media that maybe she wasn't as drunk as she let on.
Especially by the end of the night when all the things started happening. This is such a hard case. Oh my
And it also seems like she wanted to leave and she wasn't comfortable with what was going on. And I understand that. But what happened yesterday runs, in my estimation, in contradiction to that. And here's what I mean. If she was saying she just went along with it to get it over with, okay, that's one thing. That's probably not good. But what the defense lawyer is suggesting here, and he says the other players will testify to this, Formanton didn't want to have sex with her. He wasn't comfortable with what was going on there. He didn't want to do it in front of the other players. So she said, we're doing it. She called him the P word.
Yeah.
And took him to the bathroom to do that.
Oh, man. And then
Apparently there was, okay, I didn't actually hear this. And again, if I've got any of these facts wrong, I want everyone to understand. I'm just repeating to you what I've heard through media reports. I'm not going to guarantee the accuracy of any of these things. It's also not been proven because the decision isn't out yet. Right now, it's just testimony. But there was testimony that she even encouraged him to not wear a condom because she was on birth control.
And when she was talking about it, she doesn't recall any of this.
Yeah, she said she does say things like that, like I don't recall, or that doesn't sound like something I would say. Those are responses that she's given a few times. And by the way, just because this twist has come out doesn't mean it was right what happened, and it doesn't mean that she's a bad person.
No.
But it does help narrate this story here. And if the story was going to be that she felt uncomfortable and wanted to leave, yada, 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 well, that's a little bit different if she was the one who wanted every one of those guys and the one who didn't want to go. She took him into the bathroom and did him in there in private.
And she could have just done nothing. That's the thing. Oh, man, this case is just such a tough one. I feel, again, I keep saying this, but I do feel for everyone. Also, she is one person, and then there's the story from these 5 hockey players that that have always lined up together. Do you know what I mean? So 5 against 1 in a way. Yeah, I mean, I kudos to her for sitting and being cross-examined, because that's not easy.
Well, this is something else that bothers me here. I feel like we need to rethink how we do it. And I don't have a solution here, but I'm thinking about this woman who is a victim here.
Yeah.
And she's had to be on the stand talking about very intimate, personal details of her sex life.
Yeah.
Some to do with this incident and some others. And she's had to do it for over a week now of pretty grueling cross-examination. And I don't know if that's its best idea to be re-traumatizing victims here.
Exactly. And this is from 2018. So when EM, has said via, news outlets that she doesn't recall or this or that, I understand. I understand that point, because sometimes it's easy to block things out, and that's how some people deal with trauma. So again, this case just continues to unfold.
Well, we're going to learn a lot more, I think, once the players all give their testimony.
Yeah.
And EM's lawyer there is going to have a chance to cross-examine them. It seems like the 5 guys and their 5 lawyers, I don't know if they're all cooperating, but if one lawyer is suggesting that the other players will testify on his client's behalf, I have to think they've at least coordinated their story here.
Absolutely.
And if that's the case,
doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good for what, EM or for the players?
I would say it doesn't look good for EM when you have more than one with the same story. However, that's where her lawyer is going to be able to cross-examine, see where the holes lie in their truth.
And part of it will be comparing it to the original statements that were given back in 2018 to see how consistent they are with the testimony that's going in court.
Because a lot has changed since that testimony back then.
Certainly has. Now, the other high-profile trial that a lot of people are interested in is the Sean Diddy Combs trafficking trial.
It's gross.
It kicked off yesterday. Combs attempted to conceal video evidence of an alleged assault on ex-girlfriend Cassie. This is the one where he beat the hell out of her in the hallway of a hotel.
It makes me sick to watch.
Federal prosecutors claim Combs tried to bribe a hotel guard with $100,000 to keep quiet about this incident. The incident was caught on security camera. CNN released the footage in May 2024. Cassie had previously filed a lawsuit against Combs. It was quietly settled within 24 hours. TMZ and Diddy brought a Bible to his trial and read scriptures before the prosecution's opening statement. Some jurors appeared to be tired during the proceedings and even nodded off before the lunch break.
Wow.
I don't think I'd be nodding off during this trial.
No, that's there's a lot to unpack here.
So there's a number of things that came out of yesterday. And for those who do want to follow along with this case, I'm going to be on it. Anna's on it every single day. And we're going to bring you details here in Scott Fox After 9. Yesterday, some evidence was presented or testimony was given to suggest that one of the male prostitutes that Diddy hired, allegedly, to be with his girlfriend Cassie so he could watch, he told the prostitute to urinate in her mouth.
Yeah. So that's one of the stories that are floating around. This prostitute, also stripper, was told to urinate. I guess they were into that. Apparently, he didn't urinate properly because he got reamed out by both of them, apparently. And he actually took off running. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. They had gotten together multiple times, and Diddy would be in the room while the two of them, Cassie and this stripper prostitute, were being intimate. He would be in the room in a disguise, watching them, getting off. Let's just say that. Anyways, that happened a few times. Apparently, Diddy was not happy with how he urinated and how his performance. He took off from the hotel room because he felt things were escalating and it wasn't in a positive way. And he could hear Diddy yelling at Cassie and just berating her. So,
how many people are in on this, Anna? Because even the mainstream media, which I did not expect to take a stance against Diddy here, even they're saying things like this trial could expose a dark and dirty underside in the music industry.
Of course. And there's been rumblings for years, but he had a lot of power. He had a lot of connections. You can make things go away. 24 hours. Doesn't that say something right there? The video comes out 24 hours later. This is settled. I mean, I feel for Cassie too, because also she's a survivor of domestic abuse and she's going to be re-traumatized again.
I know.
And have to be on such a platform where people are learning, who wants... So I wouldn't want. I'm not into people urinating on me. Okay, that's not my thing.
Thanks for declaring that in the pod.
No problem.
Knows.
But that is somebody that
you should
people
put that on your profile.
Right? Well, people like it. Some people like a golden shower, not per se.
You're right. Some people do.
They do. However, that's not somebody's business to tell and to make public. And it's out there. And people, when they look at her, that's one of the things. So remember, hopefully not, but that is part of her story.
When it comes to Diddy, I mean, I get the Cassie thing. I know that he is accused of hiring sex workers and throwing these crazy parties and stuff like that. We're going to get through all of that in this trial. In all likelihood, apparently there's a lot of video evidence that the FBI seized. We'll see where that goes. But I'm also led to believe that there were a number of very underage, possibly children, involved in the sex acts that Diddy was either facilitating or a part of or observing or what have you. And those kids were made available to guests at his parties. And frankly, I don't know why that is not the starring part of this trial. It happened. There's people who know about it. Why haven't we heard much about that? So far, it's still mainly about the sex workers that he brought in and Cassie and his relationship with her. There was other stuff that apparently went on at these parties, and I don't know if they're going to get to that in this trial.
Well, that's it. And people are saying, oh, the sex traffic workers, they knew what they were getting into. They wanted to be there. That's why they flew in. They knew they were going to have a payout, blah, 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 blah. But I agree. So many people, and it gets buried in the lead of, this story over the years from the 90s all the way up to now of teenagers coming forward and saying, I was attacked. This happened to me. This happened to me. And yet it gets brushed under the rug. Nobody wants to really focus on it, because if you do, then it really opens another can of worms. And I don't think people are prepared for. And some are willing to testify. There are some who are going to take the stand and tell their story. Even one went missing. They were wondering what happened to this person. They were willing to testify. And then all of a sudden they just went MIA. Probably got scared. So, and that's the thing. If you have a lot of money, you can make things go away, even if you're still in the hot seat.
He has a lot of power and a lot of influence, even from jail. There's people on the outside that are working for him. So, yeah, I might be worried too if I were one of them.
Well, yeah, and your family, because it's not just you. You have to consider where are you now,
There's also a lot of other people who stand to lose it all.
Absolutely.
Because of this and because of what testimony might come out. Let's use a random celebrity. Just one off the top of my head. Let's go with LeBron James.
Okay.
Let's say LeBron James, hypothetically, went to a Diddy party and did some horrible things with sex workers and maybe even with children. Whether that does or doesn't impact Diddy's conviction, that's still going to come out in court. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want that to come out in court, obviously, so maybe he's got a vested interest. And again, that was just a random example. I can't think of another name off the top of my head, so I just went with LeBron.
Yeah.
But it could be any celebrity.
And sometimes I think, too, some of these celebrities that went and have come forward and said, hey, I've never seen anything like that happen. Maybe you didn't, and maybe you were the pawns that people used. So if something came up like that, you could vouch that nothing happened. But the others who are consistent know what's actually going on. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Right? So they had their butts covered. However, it's gross. And I feel for his kids.
My God,
especially
I know.
like the girls. I mean, they've lost their mom and now their dad's in this position and having, how do you defend that? I feel for them.
Okay, Anna, I'm going to blow through a whole bunch of stories here real quick.
I'm ready.
You tell me if we need any further explanation.
Got it.
Toledo, Ohio. A woman is in the news because she crashed her car while attempting to kill a spider.
That would be me.
The vehicle hit an overhead rail bridge support beam. The 40-year-old driver suffered a broken wrist and was taken to hospital. Authorities cited her for failure to control her vehicle. Is that not a mitigating circumstance? Would a judge not accept, whoa, there was a spider, I had to kill it, otherwise it was going to kill me?
Yeah, well, arachnophobia, you can't help what you're scared of, and you don't know when it's just going to crawl out of nowhere, and you're in a position, it's fear. I'm sorry, I am that person, okay? I'm happy she's okay.
Yahoo Finance reporting a toilet paper shortage may occur due to tariffs. The world's largest pulp exporter, Suzano SA, has issued a warning about supply chain disruptions. Oh, okay. American consumers, they say, may face higher toilet paper prices because of tariffs. Suzano SA is shipping 20% less toilet paper pulp due to the new tariffs.
This is garbage. This is COVID all over again, where we have no toilet paper and everybody just stockpiles.
But the thing is, we did have toilet paper. We never ran out during COVID. As much as people hoarded, we never ran out of toilet paper. And I don't think we're going to now. This is just scaring people, isn't it?
Scaring people and raising the price so we don't ask more questions. So there you go.
Here in Canada, we have Dollarama. And then I guess the next step up from Dollarama would be Walmart?
Yeah.
Okay, in America, they're set up very similarly. They have got Walmart, and then below that would be Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is undergoing a major transformation with the new Dollar Tree 3.0. They're introducing a new range of stores with wider aisles, clearer signage, and better organization for a more modern shopping experience. They're also raising prices and offering discounts. Products will range from $5 to $7 to compete with Walmart and Target. Despite the changes, Dollar Tree assures customers most of their $1.25 products will still be available in those stores.
But it's still not $1. It's $1.25. So you're going to say $1.25 tree.
Did we need a small step between Walmart and Dollarama?
No.
Because that's what they're trying to fill here. You know what it reminds me of is a Five Below. If you've ever been into a Five Below, that's what it seems like they're going with here.
And that's what they should have just come up with a brand new store. Don't even say it's a spin-off from the Dollar Tree, because that just makes me angry. I remember the days when the dollar store was literally $1.
It was $1.
It was $1. Now you can't find anything for $1. No.
Finally, Ashley Madison, the dating site for married people, says the day after Mother's Day, which was yesterday, is their second biggest day of the year for new female clients. 3,000 women sign up for their services on average on the Monday after Mother's Day. 3,000 new moms in the pile.
Oh, well, they didn't like their gift, I'll tell you that much.
AshleyMadison.com says 20% of cheating mothers have found themselves in a sticky situation while trying to balance motherhood with their affair.
Yeah.
It's weird to talk about moms having an affair, right?
It happens, though.
It certainly does.
It really does.
67% of cheating moms have taken a call from their lover when their kids were around. 56% of cheating moms have been late to pick up their kid from sports, school, or a play date because of their side piece.
Okay. Wow.
29% of cheating moms have changed their kids' plans in order to accommodate a rendezvous that they wanted to have.
Ooh.
Those are fairly compelling numbers.
Yeah.
3,000 women the day after Mother's Day signed up for Ashley Madison. What I'm wondering is, are those 3,000 married moms, or are those 3,000 single moms that thought, I'm just going to go on Ashley Madison? I've tried Plenty of Fish. I've tried Tinder, Bumble, Match. I've tried them all.
I feel like it's probably married because the chances of being exposed are less. I mean, they've had their data breach this service, but yeah, I think it's just you're equally matching with somebody who's in the same boat. So the chances of being exposed is a lot more limited, and also they get your situation. That's just my theory.
Okay, got it. One more. How does this sound for good relations between you and your mom? This is another leftover Mother's Day story that we didn't have time for yesterday. A mom and her daughter from Green Acres, Florida, just graduated from Palm Beach State College together.
Oh.
Lenice Jean pursued a nursing degree, while Daniela Geneva earned her Associate of Arts degree and graduated from high school. They walked down the aisle together to receive their degrees. Mom and daughter expressed gratitude for the inspiration and support. The newly graduated mom hopes to become a pediatrician.
Wow.
There's some good bonding time for you and your mom, Anna. You girls could go and get yourselves a degree.
Oh my gosh, we could. We won't, but we could. I'll take her for a pedicure. I think that's more up our alley, but congratulations. It's not an easy feat, and I'm happy they had that time together.
I've never had to do this, but I assume when you do graduate from post-secondary and you walk down that aisle knowing this is the last school you'll ever have to do, they hand you the piece of paper that says you are certified in your field. You are graduated. That's an accomplishment when you think of all the hard work and the long hours and the money it cost you to get that degree. Would you want to share it with your mom, or is that your moment?
Well, we each get a moment walking down there. Okay, so my moment, if I'm first or second, it doesn't matter. I would happily share that with my mom, knowing her sacrifices that have allowed me to walk down, that aisle to get my diploma. So she deserves it too. I'm okay with it, but I understand how some people wouldn't want to share. But that's not me. And I remember aggressively grabbing that diploma out of that hand and being like, "I did it!" Like, you can't take it back now.
That's mine. I'll take it and be on my way.
Exactly.
And on that, we will say, have yourselves a great day, everybody. Thank you for checking into this episode. We will catch you right back here tomorrow with more After 9. Oh,